We got a great show lined up for you guys today. We're going to be recapping the Woodley versus Paul event that took place last night. Of course, going to be recapping UFC Vegas 35. And then the main focal point of the show, we take a look forward to UFC Vegas 36. Derek Brunson versus Darren Till in the main event. Let's get it.
The teller.
It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts. Undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? First and foremost, thank you guys for tuning in once again for another UFC prediction episode. If you guys have a second there, take that mouse, reach over, click that like button. If you guys aren't subscribed already, please do. It means a lot to me over here. I appreciate you guys. Today's episode is going to be mostly focused, of course, of the upcoming card of Derek Brunson versus Darren Till. Darren Till making his return to the octagon. It's been almost one solid year since we've seen him in there. One of the more polarizing figures in the fight game. Probably the biggest name fighting out of the UK. And this is an interesting matchup that he has on his hands against a crafty veteran in Derek Brunson. I'm excited for this main event. And overall, the card has some spots. A lot of fighters fighting out of Liverpool, some interesting prospects, a lot to get into in regards to the card. Of course, Tom Aspinall, a guy you definitely want to put a little asterisk next to his name. That's a big fight for him here. Fighting Sergey Spivak. Other notable names, Paddy Pimblett making his UFC debut. This is a guy that's been trying to work his way into the octagon for a long time. He has a chance to really put himself on the map here against Luigi Vendramini. Jack Shore, an undefeated prospect, a very talented fighter, taking on Liudvik Sholinian, who's coming off the Ultimate Fighter show. And, Dalcha Lungiambula taking on Marc-André Barriault. That's a good fight there, too. Two guys that really throw down, that bring the fight, to their opponent. So that's going to be two bulls locking horns. A decent fight card here. We're going to be getting into this entire fight card. You guys know the routine, though. We got to take a look back at some action that just took place recently. We're going to start off with the Woodley versus Paul affair that took place last night, and then we're going to get into UFC Vegas 35. You guys know the routine. There's going to be timestamps below. You guys can cruise to any section of the show that you guys want to. It's just a click away, guys, so always remember that. And let's get into it. All right, so first and foremost, I'm going to go into this crazy event that went down last night. Hopefully you guys are even interested in this, and hopefully for the most part you guys even watched it. Comment below, did you guys even tune in for the show? I thought this was a must-watch TV. Woodley versus Paul. Again, now keep in mind, these are not legit professional boxers. I know technically this is a professional boxing match, but these guys are not legit boxers. So understand, when you guys are watching this fight, you can't really expect a specific product. You can't expect guys to go out there, and you couldn't expect these guys to perform as clean boxers, looking like Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather, which for the most part a lot of you guys are used to watching when you guys watch boxing. Even some of the up and coming talent that's in the boxing game. This is not what the show was about. It was about this guy Jake Paul that's continuously running his mouth, marketing himself, and getting these big name fights against characters. And the character on this episode was Tyron Woodley, an ex-UFC fighter who said he was going to go out there and knock Paul out. Once again, I would say that the production's actually pretty decent from what they got going on over there. It was on Showtime, and I like the way that they came out. I thought it was pretty cool. Jake Paul came out with the whole Cleveland giddy up, and it was a pretty cool intro. And once the fight started to kick off, though, you guys kind of saw what I was saying was going to happen in this fight, and I thought that Woodley was going to be inactive in there. Yes, I gave him the edge with the power, of course. I thought if he landed that right hand, he could have potentially stopped the fight. That's what I was saying all fight week. But I expected Paul to have more volume. I expected his reach and size to play a little bit of a factor in this fight, and I believe that was the case. I had it 3-1 within the first 4 rounds. So just at the midway point of the fight, that's how I saw it. I was trying to be completely objective. You guys know I was poking a lot of fun at Woodley throughout the fight week. I'm not really a fan of his. But Woodley had the biggest round of the fight. There's no question about that. Woodley landed a shot on Paul that really rocked him, dropped him into the ropes. But Paul showed to have a pretty solid chin there. He showed that he was a composed fighter and, gathered himself, used his footwork, which was pretty bad. He even admitted himself his legs were pretty shaky, and you could tell the way he was moving in there. It was not a good look. But he did hang tough in there, and Woodley was just inactive. He was continuously inactive in there, and that's why he was losing these rounds. And I had it scored easily, in my opinion, 5-3, Paul. That's what I thought. I understand it was somewhat of a close fight, so some of you guys may disagree. I know a lot of you guys wanted to see Woodley win. But I thought that Paul easily won at least 5 rounds, potentially even 6 rounds to 2 against Woodley. I didn't, even though he was pressuring Paul, I didn't see the volume of strikes landing. And I mean, this whole event, it's Jake Paul's event. You can't go out there and put on a performance like that and expect to get your hand raised against Paul. And but again, Woodley did have his one moment in the fight, and that was it. And there it is, where Paul landed against the ropes. And Paul's lucky that he hit the ropes, because he would have fell on his butt. He would have got back up. It would have been a 10-8 round. He still would have won the fight. And overall, I was not too impressed with the performance of either of these guys, to be quite honest. And Jake Paul now, he's still undefeated. He's 4-0, and after this type of performance, I wonder, will his fight still have that same energy? I think they will, because no one's beaten him yet, so people still want to see him get beaten. But the way that he fought, people were kind of confused. They thought that this guy's a legit power puncher, and I was not a believer in that, which brings me to, if you guys go to my Instagram, you guys could check out the one play that I placed on this event, which was Jake Paul to win via decision. I did not believe he was going to have the power to put Woodley away. I thought that he could out-volume Woodley, and I thought that with the judging situation, the way it is in boxing, the way that Jake Paul's the cash cow of this whole situation, even if the fight was even closer, I still thought that Paul would have got his hand raised regardless. And but he did enough to win the fight anyway, and I got that at plus 550. I threw a little $200 on the fight, which is the equivalent of like a 0.25 unit, not even a full unit there. So, but it paid nice. I made what I make on that $1,000 I don't know. I have the bet slip over there from my Bovada on my Instagram. You guys can go check it out. But just a little fun bet. It's a smaller bet relative to what I usually place, but I didn't feel confident enough to make any type of official play on this event. But again, who do you guys think is going to be Jake Paul's next opponent after winning this fight here? There's rumors about him possibly fighting Fury's half-brother, who also fought in the card and didn't really look that good. He pulled off the victory there. There's rumors of him fighting maybe a Nate Diaz, a Conor McGregor, maybe running a rematch back with Woodley. Woodley was begging for the rematch. Paul said, get the tattoo and we'll do it. I think that somebody put in my comment on Instagram, I believe with what he's saying, Paul should have him get that tattoo and then just not give him the fight, because the original deal was for him to get the tattoo. The loser was supposed to get the tattoo. So Woodley just, BS'd on the deal, I guess, there, which you kind of expected to happen. But I don't want to see this fight again. Give Paul another interesting name in the fight game, some funny type of character out there, and let the show keep going before maybe he hypes himself up enough and gets a fight with Conor McGregor, which I think would be epic if we saw Paul versus McGregor. I think you guys know which way I'm going in that fight, which way I think that fight's going to play out. McGregor hurting him, but it was a freak show, right? But that's going to wrap it up. Just was curious if you guys also watched that. It was just kind of comical seeing this fight take place on a Sunday night. But I'll take the little $1,000 and change and put it in my pocket, and it was what it was. Now, we did have some legit fighting going on this past weekend. UFC Vegas 35 The epic main event delivered in a big way. This fight was epic on paper, and it delivered in real life. So that was awesome to see. As far as from a betting perspective, I had a bittersweet card here, which I'm going to get into. But we're going to work our way up. Mana Martinez gets the split decision victory over Guido Canetti. I thought he easily won that fight. So a little bit disappointing. Although he didn't really perform to the level that a lot of people expected him to. He was a heavy favorite in there. And it didn't look as good as maybe some people thought that he would have, but definitely did enough to win that fight. So a shame on that judge for giving that fight to Guido Canetti. Pat Sabatini pulls off the heel hook on Jamal Emmers. Jamal Emmers, such a talented fighter, but he makes mental errors in there time and time again. Pat Sabatini is a dangerous grappler, and he just puts a nice feather in his cap. And Pat Sabatini is a guy that we'll keep an eye on. JJ Aldrich was way too big for Vanessa Demopoulos and just bullied her up with the striking and whatnot. Vanessa showed flashes of how tough of a fighter she is, which you guys know. I pointed that out in the breakdown. Vanessa is a very, very tough fighter. She's a little bit she's too how do I say this? She's willing to accept being on her back, which I think is a major flaw in her fight game. She's willing to go on her back and try to use her rubber guard to pull things off. I think that is very detrimental to her career. She's lost a couple fights like that. She lost her Dana White's Contender Series fight like that. I would like to see her try to keep the fight a little bit more on the feet and use her jiu-jitsu more as a defensive method in there. And JJ Aldrich was just too big for her. I'm a fan of JJ's too. I would like to see JJ keep doing her thing here. She's very technical on the feet. I think she has a lot of room for growth and could be a solid fighter in the flyweight division. And I want to see Vanessa Demopoulos maybe drop down to the strawweight division or something. I don't know. But I think she'll get another opportunity in there, right? We'll see. Dustin Jacoby finishes Darren Stewart. Dustin Jacoby, ever since going over to the kickboxing scene and coming back to MMA, has just absolutely revived his career. He's looked very, very good out there. And Darren Stewart is absolutely no pushover to go out there, finish him in the first round. Really a solid performance for Jacoby there. And I'm excited to see who he gets matched up with next. I think there's a lot of fun matchups for Jacoby in the future. Wellington Turman defeats Sam Alvey even after getting 2 points deducted, which is a little ridiculous. But as you could tell, he still won the fight, even with the 2 points being deducted, that he was dominating the fight. You guys know I was on Turman here as well. I thought that Turman would be more active in there. Alvey's way too complacent in his fights. He sits on his back foot, looks to counterpunch. It's not a guy you want to have money on, and I definitely wouldn't have. So in the next fight, get a little gnat over here, man. I got to smack this thing. In the next fight, Abdul Razak Al Hassan takes out Alessio De Chirico. One of the nastiest knockouts you'll ever see in the fight game, period. Al Hassan went out there, knocked him out within 17 seconds, just threw the leg up there like a baseball bat. Boom, put De Chirico out. That was an epic knockout. Big props to Abdul for winning that fight, because if he didn't win that fight, he's going to have a tough road ahead of him as far as holding his place in the UFC. But big, he's a sprinter, man. He goes out there, he either takes you out in the first round or he gasses out. I'm still not a believer in his cardio, and I will look to fade him in certain spots. All right, guys, we're gonna get to the first of our 3 plays that we had in the card. Like I said, man, bittersweet card here. I had an 8-unit play, I had a parlay to kick things off for the night. I had Makhmud Meredov, part of my 8-unit parlay. Completely drops the ball in this fight against Gerald Meerschaert. So confusing, because Meredov is a guy that's been very cerebral in his fights. He's been very patient. He had no problem with picking other fighters apart. And a guy that comes in phenomenal shape. He can strike, he can grapple. Well, guess what? He's going to gas out in a fight against Gerald Meerschaert and get subbed in the second round there, in the beginning of the second round. There was a blatant cup shot, a nut shot that I think really rocked Meredov there. Poked him in the eye early. So a couple things that were a little, I don't want to throw shade at Gerald, man. Gerald's a solid guy. I'm not going to say he was doing it on purpose, but I'm a little skeptical about that, man. He throws that heavy nut shot there, pokes him in the eye. Okay. I'm not going to say that's the reason why Meredov lost this fight. I think that Meredov had a horrible game plan. He was headhunting in there. He should have been more patient. And Meredov almost gets the finish early in the fight before all that BS happened with the nut shot and the eye poke. I mean, he was really hurting Meerschaert. But even when he was hurting him, I didn't like the way the fight was playing out. I said to myself, I don't like the way this is playing out. I don't need him trying to rush in there to get a finish. Take your time, pick him apart for a while, and maybe if a finish pops up during the middle of the fight, take it. But I wanted to see Muradov slow his roll there, and it was the exact opposite. He was headhunting like crazy. You saw him lose a little bit of gas in his punches. I had a bad feeling about it, and he blew the big play there for me. The other leg of the parlay was Andre Petrosky, who got the finish in the third round. I felt extremely confident in that fight. I knew Michael Gilmore was going to be taken down in this fight and worked on the mat. We saw what Gilbert Urbina was able to do to him on the show. Petrosky has legit wrestling. I think that Muradov takes out Gerald Mearshart 90 out of 100 times, 95 out of 100 times. That wasn't the night. He made a mistake in there, and that cost me. Luckily for me, my next two plays hit. We had a 2-unit play on Daniel Rodriguez, smaller play, but got him at dog odds, right around plus 125. So it was a nice hit to hit there after that play there. I felt very confident in him against Kevin Lee at that line. I thought there was great value there. Rodriguez is a nasty striker. He's very slick southpaw. He was way bigger than Kevin Lee. This guy almost weighed in at 200 pounds by the time they fought. So think about that. Almost 200 coming off the 170 scale. And Kevin Lee, in my opinion, is a guy that's he should be fighting at the lightweight division, I think. And I don't know. I think Kevin Lee's career is really on the decline, if you ask me. But we'll take that play there. Big shout out to Ricky Tercios. He defeats Brady Haston. He becomes the Ultimate Fighter bantamweight winner. Ricky Tercios, I'm a giant fan of his. This guy is an absolute entertainer, and I'm very excited to see him in future bouts in the bantamweight division. Extremely, extremely entertaining, attacking off his back. You ain't holding this guy down. He could strike. Has great cardio. And shout out to Brady, too. I think Brady's going to be a solid fighter in the division. Brian Battle takes out Gilbert Urbina. Went through some adversity early in the fight. Showed how resilient he is and ended up getting that finish there on Gilbert Urbina. Brian Battle is a legit fighter. I believe that. At only 6-1 as a professional, this guy is legit. He's 6-1, but remember, he had the fights on the show, a couple victories there. You could add that to his resume. This guy will be hanging around in the UFC for some time to come in the middleweight division. I truly believe that. It's funny, not a guy that has the crazy physique and all that. He's just a real fighter, man, a well-rounded fighter. And that takes us to the main event, my final play on the card. You guys know I had a 4-unit play on Giga Chikaz to take out Edson Barbosa. A lot of people were chirping at me on Instagram in the comment section. And, this is another play, man. This was, I'm going to talk about this real quick. Out of all the plays, I've been hitting, I think I'm 11 out of my last 13 official plays with a lot of underdog odds and a lot of even odds. Giga technically was the underdog in this fight. So keep that in mind. More people were on Barboza. I don't know why. Giga has looked so fast on the feet. I don't know how you guys weren't siding with Giga. Edson's been through so many wars. It's just, it has to come to a halt at some point in time. And I'm sorry, this was the time. This was the time to hop in on Giga. The 4-unit play cashes right around even odds. So, it was great to hit those last two plays at those types of odds to rebound from the early parlay that fell apart. I will continuously attack parlays like that moving forward. That wasn't my night there, but they will deliver for the most part in a big way. And let me tell you guys, I grabbed that parlay. Although it didn't cash, I grabbed it nice and early where you're getting the lines at legit lines, not at the end of the week where the lines were ridiculous. Muradov was a minus 700. Petrosky was a minus 700. I got them, minus 300, minus 3 and change. So major difference. You guys got to realize that as well. You guys got to be on top of the lines there. Giga is super legit, and this guy is instantly after this fight a legit threat to the title in the future in the featherweight division. Would love to see him matched up with Max Holloway in his next fight. We'll see how that goes. Who do you guys want next for Giga? Comment below. I'm very curious to see who you guys want to fight, who you want to see him fight next, as there's some nasty strikers in the featherweight division. So again, that's going to wrap up UFC Vegas 35. Again, after losing that big play, again, we win the next two plays. We are now 11 out of our last 13 official plays. I'm still very proud about what we got going on over here. We've been consistently winning solid money over the last couple months, and we will continue to do so moving forward to this upcoming weekend. And with no further ado, that's what we're going to do now. Let's attack UFC Vegas 36. So we kick things off in the bantamweight division. Jonathan Martinez taking on Marcelo Rojo, however you want to pronounce that. Those of you guys that are going to be attacking in the comment section there, I'll give it to you both ways so you can't say nothing. Jonathan Martinez, man, the Dragon. First and foremost, this is a kid, man, that has a lot of talent. He's coming off a very, very tough loss. He's 13-4 as a professional, but keep in mind he was to a certain degree dominating the fight with Davey Grant. He was up in the first 2 rounds. He got caught. He was up until the point in the second round where he got caught, but he was looking good. Dominated the first round, was winning the beginning of the second round. Looked like he was on his way to cruise to a victory, and got hit with a nasty shot. The Andre Ewell fight, I thought that he won that fight. So did a lot of people. A lot of people thought that was actually one of the more bad decisions that we've seen back in 2020. The Andre Sukumtat was not a good look for him. But other than that, I mean, the Matt Schnell, keep in mind that he hit him with an illegal knee there. So that wasn't a typical loss as well. So just to put into perspective this guy's career, I mean, that could be a W there. That should probably be a W there. And then he made one mental error and got caught with the shot, which, yeah, that's still his fault. But he's a talented fighter. He's been going in there. I mean, the Frankie Saenz finish was beautiful. The flying knee, knocked out Ping Yang Lu with the knee as well. He's a very diverse striker. Marcelo Rojo, a guy that's a little bit older, 33 years old, got finished by Charles Jourdain there in the third round, in his UFC debut. This is a guy that I do believe is a decent fighter. Breaking down tape on him, you watch his skills. He's an aggressive fighter. He has some striking. The Charles Jourdain fight, he had moments in the beginning of the fight where he was keeping it competitive and looked pretty decent. But again, then towards the end of that fight, he started to slow down a little bit and made some mistakes there, and he got finished. But Charles Jourdain, we're going to be talking about him in a little bit. He's a very talented striker. So as I like to say, maybe don't put him under the magnifying glass too much. You also take a look at Rojo's other loss against Castaneda, another decent opponent there. Just you look at the level of skill of his opponents that he's losing to. At least they're legit fighters. But then if you also look at some of the opponents that he's taken out, not necessarily any real recognizable names in the fight game. So I think that he has some talent. Like I said, he's an aggressive fighter. He will bring the fight. I think that could play into Jonathan Martinez's skill set. An excellent counter striker. A guy that's just, he's very relaxed in there. He's a smooth striker. I'm going to edge Jonathan Martinez to win this fight. And, Rojo's going to have about a 1.5 inch reach advantage. Height's identical. So no real size advantage, as we've seen Martinez have some big size advantages over certain opponents. Like the Frankie Saenz fight, he was way bigger than him there. But I don't think that obviously won't play into factor here. I think that Jonathan Martinez just will be a little bit more skillful on the feet, and I think that he's going to be really hungry after that loss to Davey Grant. He's going to sharpen some things up defensively, and I know even though Rojo had the same type of loss, I just edge Martinez here, man. Paying attention to him and on his IG and everything he has going on. I like his vibes. I like Martinez to win the fight. He's right around a -155 compared to the +130 on Rojo. In a close fight, I don't know how much value is necessarily there because it could play out to be a close fight, but I like Martinez. I think Martinez gets it done. I think that he is the better fighter, slightly the better fighter anywhere this fight goes as well. So, just has to sharpen up his defensive skills, cannot afford to eat shots in the way that he took, obviously, from Grant in that fight there. But Davey Grant, real quick, a guy that actually a lot of people are down on, including myself, has shown to revive his career to an extent and shows to have some power in his hands. So, he got caught slipping there, and it is what it is. I think Martinez bounces back with the victory here. We got two bulls locking horns here in the middleweight division. Dalcha Lungiambula taking on Marc-André Barriault. And like I said, two bulls. These guys, they bring the fight. They're powerful guys. Their skill sets are a little bit different to an extent. Marc-André Barriault is a guy that really likes to get in your face. He'll smother you. He'll work his clinch game. I mean, he'll hit you with knees in the clinch. He'll drop elbows on you there. He'll lean on you. He'll wear on you. This guy really, really presses in his fights and has looked very, very good in the last two fights that he's been in. Got the finish there against Abu Azatar, who a lot of people were very high on. And before that, took out Oscar Pichota. Fight was overturned, but again, don't get it twisted. He finished that fight, looked phenomenal there. And, I forget the exact reason why that was overturned again. May have been to some type of substance. I'm gonna check that out and throw it in the comment section. If anybody also pulls that up, hit the comment section up. But again, he looked phenomenal in that fight. His first 3 losses in the UFC, that went back to back to back. The Andrew Sanchez fight. Andrew Sanchez is a very talented fighter. Krzysztof Jotko, very, very talented fighter. There was a split decision loss. And the Jun Young Park has shown to be a solid fighter as well. So the losses that he took were against solid level opponents. Dalcha took a loss against, you want to talk about solid opponents, Magomed Ankalaev, without a doubt one of the top fighters in the light heavyweight division. So keep in mind that was also up a division, where Dalcha should be fighting in the middleweight division. He's a little bit outsized up there, even though he's very muscular. I think the middleweight division fits him better. Magomed hit him with that disgusting front kick, but he bounced back with a nice victory over Marcus Perez. Dalcha, the Champion, that's his nickname, Champion, is a guy that has explosive knockout power. It hasn't necessarily transferred over to the UFC, but I mean, there's some fights where he's really, really hurt these guys. Alain Boudet is also a guy that we've seen in the UFC, a heavyweight fighter, knocked him out in the first round, knocked out Dequan Townsend, in his UFC debut. So yes, the power did translate in that fight. He was kind of looking for that shot for a long time, if you guys remember. Ended up getting it in the 3rd round. Dequan actually he showed up a little bit in that fight as a big underdog towards the beginning. But Dalcha, a guy that, like I said, should be fighting in the middleweight division. I wonder about his cardio at times in a high-paced fight. How is he going to look in the later rounds against a guy that's continuously in his face like Marc-André Barriault? Barriault has definitely shown to me that he has cardio. I've seen him go the distance, and I've seen him, really, really push in his fights. This guy was a double champ over there in TKO, I believe over in Canada, that promotion over in Canada. And keep in mind, when he signed with the UFC, Marc-André was a guy that was one of the more highly touted prospects coming out of Canada, which you guys know Canada has really slowed down with its MMA fighters and its MMA prospects over the years. Back in the day, Canada was one of the top countries putting talent out. So you would like to see him continuously puts these victories together and start to get some big name fights in the division. Me personally, I like to see my Canadian fighters in there throwing down. I like to see fighters from all around the world mixing it up. So, like I said, Canada's been slouching a little bit. I think this is a fight where he can come through here. I think that he could wear Dalcha out. He's shown to have a very solid chin. I think he can survive if Dalcha lands some shots here and there. I think he could survive through the fight, and I think that he'll wear on Dalcha and end up pulling off the victory. One thing that I really like is that he's been training over at Sanford MMA. You got guys like, what's his name over here, my boy, Joe Schillen. Guys like Joe Schillen. See here real quick. Ong Seleng, this guy, I forgot to pronounce his name the right way, but that's a guy that's fighting over in 1FC. I believe he was a double champ over in 1FC. Very talented fighter. Impa, Kasingane. I mean, forget it. The names of guys that are over there. Forget about just this picture. It's one of the better fight teams on planet Earth. And you love to see him over there putting that work in. I think it will definitely help out his striking, which is going to be a focal point of this fight. He needs to focus on his striking because Dalcha, that's his strong suit in this fight. Dalcha will look to take you out on the feet. He's diverse on the feet as well. And I don't know, man, Barriault's looking really good. I know exactly where this is. It's funny. I used to live not too far from over here, right on the border of Pompano, Deerfield. I believe that's Sample Road right around the block over there. So it's kind of funny, he's in my my old stomping grounds, and coming all the way from Canada. This is a guy that's grown on me, and I'm excited to watch him perform in there. And I think that Dalcha is the perfect opponent for him to put on another entertaining show. And Dalcha's been training with some legit fighters over here too. I think is that Francis Ngannou? I don't know about that. Is that Francis? Looks like Francis' foot over there. I don't know about that though. Yeah, that's Francis. There you go. Training with Francis. Jesse Rose Clark over there as well. And Dalcha is a guy, you keep grooming him. You keep refining his skill set. Again, he's a guy that has a lot of potential. But I don't know if he gets that knockout shot. And although he might be a little bit more skilled with the striking, I think this fight's going to be a little bit more of a dog fight. And I think that Barriault's going to be closing the distance and just making this an ugly fight where I think he edges the fight here. That's kind of the way that I see this fight playing out. And I don't know, maybe he gets a knockout. We've seen the chin tested before, but Magomed hit him with a shot that was just really nasty. So it's going to take a special shot to put out Dalcha. It's not like he necessarily has a weak chin. We take a look at the live line here. Marc-André Barriault is right around a -155. So similar to a line that we talked about earlier in the fight card. -155. Is it the best value against a guy in Dalcha that could definitely shine on the feet? A guy that's a freak athlete that still has a lot of room for potential. Maybe he shows up and looks to be the best form of him that we've seen in the octagon. Like I said, I'm taking Marc-André Barriault. I think that cruising into the prime of his career, putting in that work at Sanford MMA, I think he looks really good here, and he takes this fight. It's going to be at a 3-inch reach disadvantage, even though he's the much taller man. Two different body types, but I would like to see Barriault close the distance, make this ugly. That's what he's been doing as of recently, and he's been making it look really pretty with his ugly fighting style. So, like I said, he has an interesting fighting style. You guys know what I mean if you're watching him. He'll be all up in your face, man. All right, we're going to slide to the next fight, which is going to be, excuse me, guys. It's going to be Charles Jourdain taking on Julian Erosa. It's at a catch weight of 150. And Charles Jourdain, one of the more talented strikers in the division. And in my opinion, a division that probably has the most talented strikers. I'd say featherweight is the most stacked division with strikers. We talked about Giga earlier. Charles Jourdain is a guy that has a good amount of professional kickboxing experience as well. He's kind of like not to throw shade at him because he's a talented fighter, but a little bit more of a slowed down version of Giga. It's like Giga if you threw 2.5 5-pound weights tied to his limbs, something like that. But technical dude. He has his flaws in his game for sure, but looked good in his last fight. He got the knockout over Marcelo Rojo, who we talked about earlier in the third round. Got that knockout. The Joshua Culibao fight. Remember now, he got dropped. He got hurt in that first round. Showed some resiliency there. Came back, won the next 2 rounds. So Charles Jourdain is a guy that has heart for sure. This isn't a guy that's going to fizzle out on you. He's in there. He's fighting for your money. Even if he gets rocked, hurt, he's going to look to come back in the fight. The Dooho Choi knockout, that's where he put his name on the map. He was an underdog, came in, believe that was maybe his second UFC fight, I forget exactly, but that was a big fight for him there. He's still only 25 years old. With the striking experience that he has, now completely grooming himself in MMA. We've seen it with Giga. Those guys they could be very dangerous fighters. They work on their takedown defense, their ground game and whatnot, and they already are super polished up on the feet. Charles Jourdain is that type of guy. Julian Erosa's way more of an unorthodox type of fighter. He has a very, very awkward style. His hands are very low. I think Jourdain can make him pay there. We've seen Erosa get capitalized on with his hands being low. We've also seen it work very well for him. We saw him get the knockout over Jamal Emmers on Dana White's Contender Series. We've seen him have some other very big wins, taking out Sean Woodson, rocked Woodson, ended up getting that submission. He was a big dog there. Hit Nate Landwehr with the flying knee. That was an official play of mine. Enjoyed that fight very much so. A very well-rounded fighter. This guy came off the Ultimate Fighter show back in the day. And, I like his frame. I like his style. It works for him. I think he's a very underrated fighter. This is a guy that was really, pulling teeth just to get a fight inside the octagon for a while there. I think the UFC respects his fighting style now. He's getting some opportunities as of recently. He's an entertaining fighter to watch. I'm going to take Charles Jourdain here. I think that, like I said, his striking is just going to be more technical. I like that he'll have his guard up more so than Erosa. I think that will pay dividends here in this fight. Erosa is going to be eating some shots. We've seen Erosa get eaten up with some leg kicks before too. I wouldn't be surprised if Jourdain chews that leg up. And Erosa is going to have to make it a wild fight. Try to rock Jourdain maybe in a similar way that Joshua Kulibau did in the first round. And you got to like Erosa's reach. He's going to have a 5.5 reach advantage here. That's nothing new to him. He does have very long arms, very long limbs. He's 6'1". He's a little bit more of the naturally bigger guy here. I like Charles Jourdain, line right around -190. Maybe a little bit on the higher side as well. Erosa's going to show up, and he's gonna look to make this a fight here. So this isn't going to be a walk in the park. Erosa's a guy that's been a dog multiple times and has showed up. It's nothing new to him. You know, he knows the routine with that. Charles Jourdain is the pick. Go to the bantamweight division. Jack Shore, the undefeated prospect, taking on Liudvik. Sholinian, a solid fighter. Sholinian, although he won his first fight in the Ultimate Fighter show, lost his second. I do believe this is a guy that's a polished fighter. He was a polished fighter on the show. Went into that show with 11 professional fights, but this guy, you could tell that he has the grappling for sure. This is a guy that has some solid grappling. If you're lacking there, he will look to take you down there and expose you. You know, in his first fight on the show, he took out Mitch Raposo. Mitch Raposo was the first fighter selected in that division. He was really the favorite to win the show. And I think that Mitch Raposo is a very talented fighter still, so we didn't get to see anything else from him, but Sholinian shut that down. Sholinian is a talented fighter, and the only problem I see here is that Sholinian's strong suit is his grappling, and Jack Shore, that's what Jack Shore does. Jack Shore is a really, really solid grappler. I like that he trimmed the little fuzzy hair that he had, little fuzzy head. I like this look a little bit better for him. Maybe it'll help his image in the fight game. He's 14-0. This is a guy that you know could really be hanging around for some time and be knocking on the door at the top of the division here in the near future. He's working on his striking. You've seen it come around a little bit as of recently. Landing a nice leg kick here over Hunter Azure. And he won that fight. He was a big favorite in that fight against Hunter. Only won via split decision, but I thought he did enough to win that fight. And I thought he still showed he still showed aspects of his skill set that show why he's such an exciting fighter and why people are so high on him. The grappling is really, really there. And this guy gets a hold of you. He can control you down on the mat. And he even had Hunter down on the mat. He did some nice things there too. And Hunter, a very decorated wrestler. So Jack Shore for sure has some solid grappling. And I'll say that his grappling is going to be on another level than Sholinian's, even though Sholinian's a very, very talented grappler, as I've been talking about. On the feet, I think that I'm going to edge Shore there as well. Like I said, Shore's been working on his striking and whatnot, and I think that he's just a little bit more of a talented fighter. I believe that. From what I've seen from him on tape, this guy, he has a lot of talent, and he's only 26 years old. He's 14-0. The sky is not the limit for this guy. He can go way past the sky, and Liudvik Sholinian needs to do something now. He's creeping up on 32, which is it's a solid age, but he's just making his UFC debut at this age. He's got to come in. He's got to make a statement. You know, he's got to start making some noise because the UFC, you know, they might not give him a crazy amount of opportunities. He needs to capitalize here. Unfortunately for him, I think that Jack Shore is going to be a little bit too much for him. And I got Jack Shore winning the fight. Jack Shore, a lot of action coming in on him. Opened up right around that -350 range, already up to 450. And people are high on him. People like him, man. The Welsh fighter. Fighting out of Wales. This guy's a lot of talent. And I will be tuned in for that fight for sure. In the next fight, the flyweight division, we got two girls throwing down in the flyweight division. Yeon Kim taking on Molly McCann. And if you guys want, I'll even start throwing on some accents when I throw their names out there. I'll put on my Korean accent, put on my English accent, Molly McCann. I don't think you guys want to start hearing that, right? So next time you guys complain about my pronunciations, I have to start busting out accents with some of these names out here. And I'll fix you guys good. Molly McCann fighting out of Liverpool. I believe she's one of 4 fighters fighting out of Liverpool on this card. And all 4 of those fighters are solid fighters. Maybe Molly McCann at the bottom of the list, but I joke she's still a girl that does have some talent. You gotta love her hands for the division. You don't see a lot of women throwing the way that she does with her hands. She has good boxing. She just has some major holes in the rest of her game that make it hard to really back her at times. Coming off 2 losses against Talia Santos and Lara Procopio. Lara definitely proved to be a solid fighter. And Talia Santos, she's a very solid fighter as well. So the competition at least is up there. She lost her UFC debut to Jillian Robertson via submission. Again, showing the holes that she has in her grappling. Talia Santos was able to really maul her on the mat, right? Controlled her easily. This is a fight I've been very much back and forth on. Ji-Yoon Kim looked amazing in her fight against Nadia Kassem, but Nadia Kassem is not a UFC caliber fighter, so you got to be careful how you look at that. Ji-Yoon Kim was able to hang with Alexa Grasso for 3 rounds. Alexa Grasso, I was just running that tape back earlier. Grasso had her moments in there, but you would almost expect Grasso really to go in there and really look even better on the feet. Grasso is a serious striker. So you see that Ji-Yoon Kim does have some striking abilities for sure. She could hang in there on the feet with anybody. I think she could hang on the feet with Molly McCann. I don't expect Molly McCann just to box her up like it's nothing. And then you got that X factor of Kim grabbing a hold of McCann and maybe getting on top of her down on the mat, and McCann being inadequate and just not knowing what she's doing down there on the mat and being stuck down there, because we've seen that happen. She's going to be undersized for sure. That's what Molly McCann is in all of her fights. 3 inches at a height disadvantage and a 10-inch reach advantage. So even if this fight does stay on the feet, Kim is going to have a 10-inch reach advantage, which is pretty... Anytime you're talking about a 10-inch reach advantage, it's a significant reach advantage. There's just no question about it. Both these girls 31 years old, and this is Marcelo Rojo here too. So they were getting ready for this fight card together to an extent, which is always good to have other fighters training for the card. We talked about Molly McCann having 3 other fighters coming out of the same city as her. They were all doing their thing. Michael the Maverick Chiesa, what I got to learn from there. And you want to talk about the recipe for this fight to drag Molly down and dominate with the grappling. Who better to learn from than Michael Chiesa? Michael Chiesa is an amazing grappler, and as far as his MMA, as far as in the game of MMA. And like I said, this fight, been back and forth on it. I'm going to go with Kim. Like I said, just that grappling question mark of McCann is going to make me side with Kim. If this fight does stay on the feet for the entire time, yes, I could see Molly McCann landing the heavier shots there and pulling off the fight. But she's going to have to prove it to me. I got to see her show up and do something about it to make me change my mind after those last 2 fights. And there's Liverpool's own right here. Tom Aspinall, Paddy Pimblett, and the gorilla, Darren Till. Gotta love the English fighters, man. And there's Paddy the baddie right there too. So I'm excited to talk about him in a second. And but yeah, I got Ji-Yoon Kim to win the fight. This is a pick'em fight. This is a fight that I'm not necessarily crazy about one way or the other, as you guys can catch my drift. And Ji-Yoon Kim, yep, the line is you look at the live line, maybe a slight edge on Kim on certain books, but it's a pick'em fight. Here we go. Paddy Pimblett taking on Luigi Vendramini in his UFC debut. Paddy Pimblett, a guy that a lot of people know about in the regional scene, Cage Warriors champion, a guy that's already 16-3, has been barking to get a UFC opportunity forever. Luigi Vendramini, a guy that's already had 3 opportunities to fight inside the octagon. There's only won 1. Looked very, very good in that fight where he got the knockout over Jessen Iari, the German fighter, I believe. And I don't know. That might be the highlight of his UFC career, if you ask me. I could be wrong. Luigi is a guy that fought very, very low-level competition before making his way to the UFC. Got matched up with a very tough opponent in Zaleski dos Santos. Got knocked out very early in the fight. like I said, bounced back there, and then he took a loss against Faraz Zaim. In that fight against Faraz Zaim, Zaim looked very good in the beginning parts of that fight, pretty much took the fight in the beginning, but Vendramini showed to have big-time heart and was looking to get the finish in the third round, was really whooping up on ZM, chasing him around, landing some big shots, wobbled him, dropped him. If he would have brought that same energy from the very beginning of the fight, I think he would have won that fight. He was a little bit on the back foot towards the beginning. He was a little bit timid. And if he would have did that from the beginning, he would have took that fight. So that could have been a learning experience for him. And maybe he, in this fight, you're going to see him bringing that killer mentality from the beginning. But I just think that's going to be a problem for him because Paddy is a very well-rounded fighter. He's unorthodox on the feet. He's rangy, and he has a nice grappling game. This guy will pull guard on you. He'll rip you down to the mat, throw up a flying armbar on you, flying triangle. This guy's all over the place with his grappling, and even with the striking, he's all over the place, and I kind of like his style. It works for him, and I think that he's a very refined fighter coming into the octagon with all the experience that he has. Although, he has the Karen haircut here, almost looking like a Karen at a birthday party, like smiling or something, happy for the moment. But if the neighbors bother her a little bit, this is gonna turn, the smile is gonna turn upside down into a frown. So, shouldn't be rocking the Karen haircut as often as he does. Might need to trim this up, but Paddy Pimblett, Paddy the Batty, a little bit of adversity as of recently, but overall, a very solid prospect coming into the UFC. His loss to Nad Narimani. Nad is a legit fighter, very legit fighter. Fights in the UFC, very good wrestling. Alexis Savidis was a victory. Decky Dalton, David Martinez. Not a lot of notable names unless you're around that fight scene over there in the UK. But if you know about the UK fight scene even a little bit, you know that Paddy Pimblett is one of the guys that's been looking to step into the big show and represent the UK. Only 26 years old. I think this is the perfect time for him. I like him to win this fight. I think he'll be unorthodox, and he'll pull some stuff off on Luigi here. The betting line, another fight right around that range, but right around minus 140, 135. A little bit of action coming in on Luigi here and there. Kind of where I would expect the line to be, quite honestly. Luigi had some moments in that last fight at the end of the fight, looked good in the fight before that. Luigi's only 25 years old, so there is room for growth from this guy. Maybe he does refine his overall skill set and does live up to some of the potential maybe that his people believe in him. I'm not going to say just the potential, not like the entire world has expectations of this guy, but I'm sure his fight team does, and in his small circle, maybe he lives up to what a lot of people in his circle think he could be. I'm not so sure about that, though. We'll see. I got Paddy the Batty. All right, and we are cruising through the main card here. Khalil Rountree taking on Modestas Bukauskas. This is a nice matchup here. This has all the makings to be an exciting fight. Khalil Rountree, win or lose, this guy for the most part, it's going to be in there swinging and either getting hit on or landing some clean shots on you. Modestas Bukauskas, kind of the same thing with him. Ever since he's made his UFC debut, he's willing to exchange in there. Big, bulky, light heavyweight fighter. I got off on the wrong foot with him. You guys know the deal. He took out Andreas Michailidis, which I was very upset about. Fellow Greek, a real Greek, from Greece, rocking the flag and everything, rocking the Greek fight shorts. And Andreas was looking very good in the beginning of that fight, and went in for a takedown towards the end of the round. And if you guys remember, Bukauskas really worked in some nice Travis Brown style elbows against the cage. I did like what he was throwing there. They were to the back of the head, but it's all right. I don't mind fighters doing that a little bit. It's very rare that the refs actually call them out on that. You're almost better off doing it, even if they give you a warning by the time you knock the guy's brain through his nose. But Bukauskas, he got a finish there. Michailidis, as he was getting up after that thing, he got dropped a little bit, and he was saying that he got hit in the back of the head. They pulled the cage out from behind him to come in the octagon. He was leaning on it. He falls back, and they stopped the fight because it looked like he was out. It was ridiculous. And he was just saying there to the back of the head, and the bell had already rung. Let the guy get up. Let him go sit on the stool. Definitely one of the biggest errors I've seen inside the octagon, and not just because I'm supporting him, but just to give you some background there, Bukauskas since has lost 2 fights, but against Jimmy Crute and against Michel Oliasejczak, 2 talented fighters there. You guys know Jimmy Crute was an official play of mine. Jimmy Crute's the real deal, so that was a tough fight for him. Jimmy Crute was too quick for him. And that's something I want to talk about because Modestas is a slow striker. He's a slow striker for sure. Khalil Rountree, when he's putting it together, Khalil Rountree is a guy that's very, very quick on the feet. And, you take a look at that victory against Eric Anders, everybody was going crazy about the skill set that he put on, the show that he put on with his striking skill set. Joe Rogan was all about it, talking about it like crazy. I think he had him on the show, right? Khalil Rountree went over to Thailand and just continuously worked on his Muay Thai. That's basically all he was working on. It worked for him in that fight, but you see that there's some other holes in his game that, he's putting in a lot of time there, and it's hurting him in other aspects of his game. Kuti Laba ended up destroying him on the mat there. Loses to Marcin Prachnio, and you don't want to lose to Marcin Prachnio. It's not a guy you want to lose to, even though he's been pulling out some victories out of his butt. I think that Rountree is going to be faster, quicker in there. I think he'll have some moments where he'll look good, but I think that Modestas will hang around, and he'll continuously move forward. He'll eat those shots. I mean, this guy is literally made of granite. Solid frame of him. I think that he eats a lot of those strikes that Rountree throws in him in a similar fashion to what Eric Anders did. Eric Anders also super durable, but I think that Modestas gives it back a little bit more. And Rountree doesn't like when you give it back to him. He really doesn't. If you eat it and give it back to him, he kind of tends to break in there a little bit. And but Modestas looks like he's coming into this fight in phenomenal shape, and I'm going to take him to win this fight. He throws heavy leg kicks himself. Let's see what kind of kick he's throwing over here. Spinning heel kick. Trying to pull off his Ignacio Baja Mendez in there. It's a little gnat, man. Trying to pull off his Ignacio Baja Mendez, Edson Barbosa spinning heel kick. Imagine he hits Rountree with that. I don't think so. But I think that he could wear on Rountree and maybe even show some different aspects of his game with his grappling, ground and pound. I think that he should win this fight. If Marcin Prachnio can go out there, take out Rountree, Modestas can certainly do that as well. Only 27 years old, a tough Lithuanian fighter. Great frame for the division. Much bigger man here. 2 inches bigger as far as his height goes. 4-inch reach advantage, And these types of European fighters, they start to hang around a lot of top-level fighters in the world. They really start to grow at an alarming rate, and I expect his skill set to really start to jump here. I know he's going to be hungry after those 2 losses. I like Modestas here. I like Modestas to win the fight. David Zawada taking on Alex Morono. Now remember, Alex Morono coming off that very big win over Cowboy Cerrone. Cowboy Cerrone, though, no shade at him. Definitely at the end of the line here. And that Morono fight really showed it. I mean, a prime Cerrone would absolutely decimate a guy like Alex Morono. But Alex Morono was able to go in there and whoop him up. Came into that fight as the dog. But props to him for showing up and getting the job done. Alex Morono, a technical striker, light on his feet. He's in and out. He's very active, a lot of volume in there. He's tricky. He's a guy that you look at his physique and you would never know he's a professional fighter. Doesn't have an ounce of muscle on him. He's just a slab of skin and meat. But he's a guy that's very technical, very underrated grappling game. He has a very underrated grappling game. This guy's been around the fight game for a long time. He's been putting work on the mats for years and years and years. Alex Morono, a very underrated fighter, only 31 years old. Does drop the ball at times. If you land some flush shots on him, he will fold up. If you land some good shots on him, you could definitely finish him. We've seen that a couple times throughout his career. If you think about the Nico Price fight? I think it was the Nico Price fight. He was looking very good in that fight. Let me not misspeak here. Remember watching that one. It turned into a no contest, but he, for whatever reason, he lost that fight, I believe. He did. He was winning the beginning of that fight, and then Nico Price ended up getting the finish there in the second round. Keita Nakamura, he lost a split decision. The Jourdain Mean fight he lost. Put 3 fights in a row. Took out Max Griffin. That victory looks very good these days. Got the finish on Zach Otto. Got knocked out by Chaos Williams. Again, showing that if you land some flush shots in him, I'm telling you, he will fold up. David Zawada, more of a grappling-based fighter. In my opinion, when you watch tape on him, he has some finishes due to strikes, but I think that his grappling game is pretty good. We saw him pull off that triangle choke on Abu Bakar Nurmagomedov. You don't see the triangle choke, the traditional triangle choke with your legs. You don't see that pulled off at all anymore. It's such a rare submission because once you have it down packed, how to defend that, you keep your your arms inside, both arms inside, and you posture up. It's very hard to pull that off on guys. So that was impressive, especially against a tough Dagestani grappler. Bounced back with the loss against Ramazan Ameev, a split decision loss. Ameev was able to control him against the cage, hold him there very much so. I don't think that Alex Morono will be doing anything like that. I think Morono will be in the middle of the octagon looking to trade strikes. And this is an interesting fight. It's an interesting fight. You see Zawada putting in some work at American Top Team for this fight over here with Ponzinibbio. At my old childhood beach over here, Deerfield Beach. You see this pier right here? How funny is this? I used to climb up on the side of this pier, me and my boys in high school, middle school, and we would run down and jump off this pier right here and swim back in. And I used to always be paranoid that I was going to run into a fish hook. But we'd be in the middle of the day over there, skipping school. We'd take the bus all the way down Hillsborough. If anyone's from South Florida, we'd take it down Hillsborough or Sample and take another bus, the one, take it down US 1 and walk over to the beach. Back in my wild youngin' days, man. But this was my childhood beach. I've been going here since I was born with the family. It's changed a lot. It doesn't look anything like it did when I was a kid. It's crazy, man. But David Zawada over there and putting in that work at American Top Team. There's the triangle that he pulled off again, but a very solid grappler here. Always potential to submit an opponent when you got a guy like Zawada in there. I don't know if he's going to pull it off on Morono. Like I said, Morono is a well-rounded fighter himself. And we'll take a look at the live line here. We got Morono right around that minus 155. This card is filled with those minus 155s. You guys got to be careful attacking those too much throughout the entire card. And although I'm favoring the favorites for the most part with this fight card straight up, got to be careful with specific fights here with these lines. Make sure you're targeting the right fights. I'm going to take Morono to win this fight. I am going to take Morono. I think that he's a little bit more well-rounded with his overall skill set. And I think that he could use his striking here. Only a 3-inch reach disadvantage. Yes, Zawada is the bigger guy. But I think Morono is going to be working off that hype from the Zawada fight. He's going to be feeling good about himself. And he's an accurate fighter. He'll land some shots. And in a close fight, I think that he could take this fight here. Zawada lost to Danny Roberts. Jingling Li got that victory against Nurmagomedov and then lost to Ameev. It's a very, very close fight. I'm going to slightly edge Morono. You could even stay tuned to my Instagram. Maybe a possible swap up on the official picks, but probably not. I'm going to edge Morono to win this fight. But as you guys see, not really extremely confident about that pick there. And there was Morono just bloodying up Cerrone, man. Tagging him up, bloodying him up. A very accurate striker is Morono. Very light on his feet, in and out. A guy that's hard to hit himself. But if you do hit him, you can break him. Now this next fight, looking forward to this fight just about as much as any fight on this fight card. Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Spivak. Two very talented heavyweight prospects. You guys know the heavyweight division is one of the most exciting divisions, of course. And two guys like this getting mixed up into the top 10 down the line, working their ways towards title shots and whatnot will be exciting to see. Of course, more so on the Tom Aspinall side. This guy moves like a middleweight, moves like a welterweight at the size that he's in there, 245 pounds. People think that he's only a striker, but people don't realize this guy's been putting in a lot of work with his grappling. He's actually a very talented submission artist as well. And we saw that. We saw that in the Andrei Arlovsky fight, finishing with the rear naked choke. finished that fight in seconds. Just went out there, bum rushed Arlovsky, put him up against the cage, ended up taking his back there, pulled a rear naked choke. Don't get it twisted. Andrei Arlovsky's been going in there, taking out guys left and right. Those guys that are less experienced than him. Not with Aspinall. Aspinall was not playing that at all. And you gotta love the striking performances that he puts on. How about the Alan Budat fight? Completely just put him out. The Jake Collier fight. Jake Collier actually showed, even though he's all fat and overweight, he's not as bad as a fighter as we thought he was. Overweight. He's looked good since. That was just Tom Aspinall being a bulldozer and just taking you out. And you see it even before. So he's been finishing guys left and right. Little bit of adversity early in his career, 2 losses. I believe he was submitted early in his career. He got caught with the heel hook against Stuart Austin. So the heel hook is a fluky submission. You got to learn how to defend that. Otherwise, specific guys will catch you with that. As we saw a leg submission against. We saw it this past weekend in a fight. What's his name? Slipping my mind. Jamal Emmers. But yeah, you got to know how to defend those, man. Jamal Emmers sitting there playing around, trying to pull off his own little toe hold. Nah, you got to get out of there, man. That toe hold is not going to be anything comparable to what he's about to do to your knee. And then he had a legal 12-6 elbow here against Parabek. So that obviously he should have won that fight, or he was sure destroying that guy there. Tom Aspinall is the new guy to keep an eye on in the heavyweight division. Imagine when he's in the mix with guys like Francis, Cyril Gane, Stipe. This is a guy that's going to cruise to the top of the division very quick here. Has to take out Sergey Spivak first, the polar bear. This is a great matchup to test Tom Aspinall's takedown defense and wrestling abilities, because Spivak is a guy that will get on top of you and will grind you out and will look to even finish you with his ground and pound. You got to love the polar bear nickname. I talk about it every time. I love it. And he's a guy that he's a big man, a big heavyweight guy. Had a setback, right, in his UFC debut, where he lost. I mean, he's been in there with some tough guys since making his UFC debut. Lost to Walt Harris in his UFC debut. Walt put it on him early, and Walt could put it on anybody early with the explosive power he has. But it's been putting things together. Took out Tai Tuivasa, arm triangle choke. Lost to Marcin Tybura, who's been really doing his thing as well. And then the 3 victories in a row. The Carlos Felipe fight, was able to take him down, maul him there. Felipe's boxing actually looking good, though. Tom Aspinall, I'm riding with him on this fight all day. I think that Tom Aspinall is the future of the division. I really believe that. But take a look at that live line here. And yeah, this is Sergey Pavlovich. So that fight is not happening, obviously. And Sergey Spivak is the new opponent. And Aspinall is right around a -280 to a -300 range. It's not a cheap line on a guy in Spivak, who's definitely a tough opponent. Will look to close the distance and look to grapple you. You better hope that Aspinall can avoid being smothered and controlled down there. And I say that he could. And I like Tom Aspinall to win the fight. And I'm excited to see how his career progresses. And again, fighting out of Liverpool, I believe, right? 6'5", 78-inch reach. Even a slightly bigger man than the polar bear, who's 6'3". So I thought he was the polar bear. I don't know. Aspinall might be the real polar bear. Polar bears are definitely taller than 6'3". So, I don't know. If Aspinall wins it, I think he has the rights to that name if he wants it. But someone's got to, we'll clarify that with him if he wants it or not. Aspinall to win that fight. The betting line, I don't know. That's a tough one there, man. -300. What are you going to do? You going to mix that in a parlay? Maybe do something with it there. Hey, guys, real quick. If you're looking for a new online sports book, look no further. I highly recommend you guys check out Bovada.lv. That's Bovada.lv. You see it spelled there, Bovada.lv, as in Las Vegas. Bovada.lv is an online sports book that I've been using from the very beginning. I've been working with them for over a decade or so now. I mean, since way back in the day. Bovada.lv is an online sports book that has just about anything you could think of to bet on. Politics, entertainment, of course, obviously sports. The prop bets are ridiculous. You get almost over 100 prop bets on specific games. They got it all. They got a 24/7 customer service phone line that you can call if you have any type of issues. But I stand behind them. I'm telling you guys right now, no funny business when it comes to depositing money, withdrawing money. It's all as legit as it comes. And in my opinion, they are hands down the best online sportsbook. And if you guys sign up through my referral link, you guys will get a 100% match bonus. You guys can make up to, depending on the bonus that we get, it's either going to be a $500 bonus or even up to a $1,000 bonus. You deposit $500, you're starting with $1,000. Okay, so you're doubling your money. It's a great edge to have in order to make some good money there. You start off with $500, you're working with $1,000. You could really do some damage there. You have a big head start there. And if you sign up through my referral code, I'm going to give you guys 3 weekends of my package for free. That's 3 weekends of UFC cards, and also including my sports betting weekly packages. I will give you miscellaneous sports. It might be some NFL action, some college football action, depending what you guys maybe want to eye, or if I have something going on that I feel really confident about, I'm going to push for you guys to go that avenue. But I'm going to give you guys that all for free if you guys sign up through my referral package, my referral link that I will give to you guys. Just reach out to me. You guys see my email below, my Instagram below, my Twitter below. Shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, and I will get that referral code out to you guys. And I will be here for you guys 100% to answer any type of questions you guys have about Bovada, how anything works. And again, you can go on this website right now. You don't even have to sign up, and you can pretty much see how things work. If this is all new to you, if betting on sports, betting on MMA is new to you, go online, go to the UFC/MMA section. We're taking a look here at some of the fights that are taking place this weekend. Let's look at the main event. If you don't fully understand how these betting lines work, you can even learn here on the website. -185. You put $100 on Darren Till, it's paying out $54. So you get an idea of what you're getting paid back on these betting lines. If you're new to the game, you throw $100 on Derek Brunson, it actually pays out $150 because he's a +150 underdog. Remember, that plus is an underdog spot there. So just something to think about, guys. If you're looking to get in the game, it's a great way to do it here. We'll start up with that leg up with the bonus money, and you'll also have me to help you out with some initial plays and to be here to help you out with the entire website on how everything works. Please reach out to me if you guys are interested. Appreciate your guys' time. Back to the show. All right, we made it to the main event. Derek Brunson taking on Darren, the Gorilla Till. Darren Till, man, what a character this guy is. He was banned from Instagram for a little bit there. This guy's a wild, wild dude, man. It's hard to get a read on his personality at times. Because trust me, man, when it comes to busting balls and being able to take a joke and whatever, but he's just a different type of dude. He's a little bit awkward at times, but I enjoy him. I think he has that English humor, so maybe it's a little different than American humor, the way he talks a little bit. I love it, though. I love it. And I think this might have been... Oh, no, that wasn't it. I was going to say the one that actually got him taken down. It was something different, but this is probably the girl that he has tattooed on his arm. But he's a wild, wild dude, man. But 1.4 million followers. So this guy, he's a big name in the game. He's the biggest name fighting out of the UK, right? Just about. A tricky striker is Darren Tillman. He's a talented striker. Took out Stephen Thompson. Although I thought Thompson won that fight. If we're being honest, I thought Thompson won that fight. I thought that Kelvin Gastelum won that fight too. So you could be talking about Darren Till in a 5-fight losing skid. I really believe that. I'm not just saying that. I thought Gastelum won that fight, and I thought Thompson won that fight. But they were competitive fights, so maybe don't burn them too bad there. Those were competitive fights. The Woodley fight was a horrible, horrible performance, especially when you see the fighter that Woodley is these days. And right after that fight, right around that time, he did not fight that fight properly. But Jorge Masvidal, that's when Masvidal started putting the knockouts together. I saw that live. I was actually in New Orleans for that fight. I was in New Orleans. So, I was in the hotel watching that fight. That fight took place over in England, right? I believe it did. And so I was watching it in the daytime in the hotel. Was in there for a minute having a great time. But Masvidal looked great there, and there was definitely value on Masvidal in that fight. The Robert Whittaker fight. Robert Whittaker's been looking amazing as of recently. Cannot wait to see Whittaker get another opportunity at the belt. He's deserving of it, the ex-UFC middleweight champion. But again, so tough opponents here. Derek Brunson, although he's in a 4-fight winning streak, I still see major flaws in his game. Looked amazing against Edmund Shabazian, but Shabazian's been dropping the ball even to other opponents. The fight against Kevin Holland, Brunson looked so slow on the feet. It was a little reminiscent to when Israel Adesanya was picking him apart on the feet. It looks like Derek Brunson goes in slow motion at times. He also looked like that against Robert Whittaker. If you guys remember, Whittaker got the finish on him on the feet as well. Sometimes he goes in this funk where he's just like, it reminds you of being in a dream where you're moving slow, you can't go fast. Something's up with him at times. And I could see Darren Till really picking him apart on the feet if Brunson's gonna look like that. And that's funny. So this is a fight where Brunson needs to show up and needs to look how he looked against Edmund Shabazian, which was the best of his career. And is this over at Sanford MMA as well? Yep, Delray Beach. Even though it's in Deerfield Beach, I don't know, but it's in Sanford MMA. Maybe he miswrote that. Maybe they have another gym over here, a partner gym. But Sanford MMA, getting that legit training. This isn't going to be a fight like it was against Kevin Holland, where he's just getting easy takedowns. Darren Till will not be taken down like that. And in fact, if you're shooting in like that, you're going to get hurt. I think Till will hurt him here. And I like Darren Till to win the fight. I think Brunson's been getting away with some things a little bit in these fights, these 4 fights that he's won. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that against Darren Till. Darren Till, only 28 years old. We haven't even seen the best of him as of now. And Derek Brunson, a guy that's 37, I think reality's going to hit him a little bit here. If Till shows up sharp with his head on his shoulders, he's the better fighter here, and he should get things done. And he's right around a minus 175 favorite, up to minus 196, minus 185, almost a 2-1 favorite. Hopefully the amazing Brunson doesn't show up with the Super Saiyan yellow hair like he did, like how he looked against Edmund Shabazian, and all of a sudden he's holding his own on the feet, mixing in takedowns against Till. I don't see it. Till has better takedown defense than that. And I got Darren Till to win that fight, so that's going to be my pick for the main event. So that's a cool one there. To cap off today's show, you guys know I like to say a little motivational speech or a little something. Today I want to give us a very special thank you to the service members that serve our country, and specifically to the 13, I believe it was 13 Americans that are no longer with us. Although they're not necessarily here to watch this video or hear it. I thank them in spirit. If they're listening in some weird type of way, man, I thank them for serving this country, man. A very sad situation that took place, the whole situation over there, and that side of the world. I'm not going to go too in depth into all that, but just wanted to do a special thank you to all our military service men and women, and especially you guys listening as well. Thank you to everyone that served our country. And the world's in a crazy place right now, and hopefully us as Americans, we all stand united and realize that sometimes we're always looking to have enemies within our own country, with each other, rather than realizing we have enough enemies outside of this country that we should be united together, uniting against those types of enemies. But just a little something to think about. I know I only get a couple of thousand of you guys listen to this. I know it's not the largest scale for an audience, but overall, I want to take advantage of the opportunity that I have here, that someone out there is listening to my voice right now on the mic. So just think about that, guys, and keep in mind also, my views will be going up. I will be getting things really, really moving forward in the future. I promise you guys that. You guys stay tuned and you see how far I take this thing, especially again as the world goes back to normal, whenever that is. I'm going to have a lot of intimate, very unique type of content coming at you guys at these events. But everything got messed up once this whole COVID situation happened. But things will eventually come back to normal, and I'm going to be putting out that type of content to you. And again, a lot of big things still being worked on over here on this side. We've talked about that. But I thank every single one of you guys again for listening. Please hit that like button on your way out. Please subscribe if you guys haven't already. And no further ado, I got to give it to you guys. Signing out, the teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.